Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Gage Oxley and you are watching the live stream, the post show of Starlight. If you have just come from our live premiere of it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't yet seen it, it is currently available on Amazon Prime UK and US, with Germany and Japan following this year. So without further ado, I'm very excited to bring in some of today's very special guests. First up, actor Nathaniel Barrow. Hi Nat.
Hi, hello. How you doing? Yeah, I'm good.
Well, thank you. How are you? Oh, there's a bit of a delay. Don't we love Ted? He's brilliant. Joined also with us is James Coote-Savlis, who plays Jacob. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I am very good. Very good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It was really interesting watching Starlight, especially with you two, because with Ms. Corona, we can't actually watch it together, which I think we usually would. But yeah, it was nice watching it as like a three, as a group.
Yeah, it was really nice.
We are also joined today by a very, very special guest, which we're really, really excited to introduce you to. Please welcome Rose Mclaughlin, who is a very talented cinematographer. Now, Rose did not do the cinematography on Starlight, sadly, but what's more important, and the reason why I'm very excited to be talking with you today, Rose, is that you're doing the cinematography in the episode in the second season.
I am.
How exciting is that? We're going to dish all the dirt and all the gossip on that soon, which I'm very excited for. So thanks, you three, for coming and joining us. We also have Sian in the tech on broadcast. So a massive well done and thank you to Sian for all her support. And thanks to everyone who's watching. We've currently got quite a few people in. If you have any questions for any of us at all, please feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll make sure we get them answered. But it's going to be a nice little chat for a little bit while we're live. I guess first of all, Nat, you're obviously Kane in the film. We see quite a lot of you, both in terms of the scale of film and also physically. Like the opening scene is quite provocative. What was it like having that on Amazon Prime? Like how's that feeling for you?
Interesting for sure, but still fun. I mean, I think filming it was obviously like quite nerve-wracking, but you made such like a comfortable set, and it was like quite a close set as well. And I think, after watching it a few times, it's weird watching yourself back anyway, like do anything, but then watching yourself do like the most intimate sort of things is just weird, and you kind of do like detach yourself a little bit, but it's still enough to sort of just appreciate it as it is, and like the scene as a whole, as opposed to like nitpicking.
Yeah, definitely. And that scene itself is just, I mean, watching it with the visual effects, I guess when we're on set, it's quite different to how it's then put together with all the music and the color. James, is that the same for you? I mean, when we're on set, could you see how it was going to look, and does it feel different watching it now live?
I had no idea really. I knew there was something going, depending on, because everything was going on in my head. It was all happening so quickly around me that I couldn't quite gauge what was happening. And like I'd never seen my back before.
I guess it's those types.
That's the thing. I know what my back looks like now.
Great.
So that's something.
Add that to your CV. Bloody hell, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Has seen own back.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And Rose, for you, obviously, are you starting to think about the second season, how it's going to look and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the cinematographer did an incredible job. I think it's absolutely stunning. And I'm very excited to kind of still follow the same style, but make my own and kind of, run with the whole set in the 90s theme.
Yeah, so we're going to go through a little bit about season 2. So obviously the first episode there, Rose, you mentioned, was cinematography by Faze and Raza, so a massive thank you and well done to him. He's currently being nominated for awards. So if you are watching this live, go to his Instagram. It's at the Lens Hub. Please do go and give him a vote, because his cinematography is just so beautiful and we want to kind of support him. So please do go and vote for that. Now, the second episode in our second season, so the follow-up for Starlight, we can officially announce it's called Firelight. And Firelight follows the brilliant Kane and Jacob 2 years after the events of Starlight. So we've got quite a lot to tell. There's been a big gap. They've gone through a lot of changes. I think in Starlight, I don't know if you two would agree, Nat and James, do you think they were quite, like, would you have said they were immature characters, like when you were getting into their headspace? Because obviously you two are very mature and very like switched on. They're kind of not. What was your process for that?
Thank you. I think, yeah, I mean, having gone to university, obviously not in the 90s, you sort of do have like a bit of a mentality of, you know, I'm 18 or 19 or like however old you are when you choose to go. But because Kane was like 18 when he went, you sort of have that feeling of like, I'm grown, I know what I'm doing, I've got everything sorted out. I'm like, this is going to be my journey. And like, I don't know. I think it is that sort of like false sense of security. And I think you truly are, it sounds so cliche, but going to university, like I really did like discount on myself or just like go through like a baptism of fire. And I think Kane meeting Jacob as well was sort of like this clusterfuck, part of my French, of like emotions, especially in the time, and just sort of like sent everything a bit askew.
Yeah. And I guess, James, for you as well, like, I think Jacob is such a different character to you in that he's, you know, very uncertain of who he is and is kind of drenched in a bit of homophobia. Was it hard playing that type of character?
I wouldn't say, maybe I wouldn't say so in massive terms. Obviously, he's I don't come from the school where he's from. I felt like I could tap into there's a really big insecurity of being a young man that you have as myself anyway, or that loads of young men will have, and it's about finding who you are and not realizing who you are and actively trying to seek that. And then, but with Jacob, it's the added element that who he's maybe finding out who he really is something which he really, due to the world around him, does not want to be.
Yeah.
And that's really, as an actor, that's really exciting. That creates so much inner conflict within the character, and there's so much more delving into that can be done.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like, there's such a vast amount of character that we can still tap into. Like, yeah, Starlight was like 22 minutes and spanned 4 or 5 months, but with Firelight, we've already established these brilliant, beautiful characters. We can now just have fun with them. Rose, with I guess with you, you know, you're kind of, obviously you've had a lot of experience with cinematography for the wider series, because you did red light, white light, green light. No, you didn't do green light. Red light, white light, black light, and lime light. There's too many lights in my head.
Oh wow!
The lights are on, but no one's home. I guess what is it like for you, like trying to kind of fit in an overarching series style? Like, is that a challenge for you, or are you like, yeah, easy, can do that?
Yeah, I think that I've kind of got a personal style with how I shoot, and obviously this was done by a completely different cinematographer, but I feel like our styles are still similar enough that when I take over for season 2, the next episode, it won't be a massive weird change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would be like this was shot by a different person.
Yeah. And do you think, like, I mean, obviously with the name of Firelight, we're potentially expecting like a few flames or two. Are you excited to kind of get your teeth into more like challenging cinema? Because you also helped with one of our films, Pulse, which was three years ago now, and that was like really revolutionary in terms of like cinematography. Have you got your sights set on doing something a bit crazy, a bit kooky?
Yeah, I am so jealous of the drug scene in this one.
Yes.
Being able to just do crazy shots. I want to be able to do more of that and experiment a little bit. And I think that this will give me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Be able to a bit wild.
I'm very excited. Well, we'll send the scripts as soon as we can. So just a quick reminder to those who are currently watching this live, please do feel free to send some messages in. We will bring you up and we will answer them. Ask any questions for any of us, or just as a four of us. We would love to hear what you think. So just let us know what you thought of Starlight. Ask us a question. Just tell us whatever you're doing, like what your favorite film is. If you're watching anything on Netflix, I need recommendations. That's fine too. Rose, you brought up the drug scene, the kind of hallucination scene where we see Jacob. Nat, how was that filming the fireworks scene and the like all of the crazy flashing lights as you were walking down? Was that a strange experience for you? What the hell happened there?
There was honestly so like one of my favorite scenes to film. I think because it was December, freezing cold in Leeds, and I was just like buzzing my tits off. And we had like you can kind of see it, especially in like the close-up shots when the images are sort of like flashing up. We had like put on this sort of like galaxy like tear sort of makeup, which was just like incredibly painful, but looked so cool, like getting in my eyes. But it was like literal starlight, and I was like, oh my god, it's so meta. But that it was fun, and the shots that like we were doing, it was just like, oh, I have an idea for this one, and then we'd do it on like the whim, and we got so much in, and it was so cool. Yeah. And like shooting the fireworks, I mean, that was a whole ordeal, but it worked out in the end.
Tell me about it. We definitely did that legally, by the way. Just like really cared about the legalities of that.
Allegedly. Yeah.
James, with I mean, obviously you're ridiculously talented, like Nat, in terms of acting and doing all the scenes. You kind of, I said, recently graduated from Manchester. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, it feels recent, but it's like 2 years. Is that recent in the span of 3?
That's recent. Yeah.
Recent-ish. Yeah. From drama school 2 years ago, 2018, I graduated.
What would be your advice for someone potentially watching this, thinking, I want to be an actor, I want to do some cool stuff? Where can we start?
Where can you start? Performing as much as you can. Obviously now is an awful time to start because you're not allowed to be in contact with anyone. But once this all subsides, or there's loads of things online, but just try and act as much as possible. The only way you can even gauge whether you're good or get better is to do it. So if there's just a local group, Amdram, go do it. Drum schools are auditioning. They're doing like reduced classes and all that sort of stuff, but just try it. The thing is, you want to enjoy it. That's the main thing. Find something you enjoy doing. What's a text to play, or easily you can be your own filmmaker. Use your camera phone, get a few mates together, and just try and make something. That's exactly it. Have fun with it.
That's kind of like exactly what we're doing, but on like a bit of a bigger, more crazy, ridiculous scale.
Yeah. Like, the whole thing's shot on phones.
But I mean, like, realistically, you know, we're begging, borrowing, and stealing equipment as much as we can, and where, you know, everyone's working completely voluntarily, and that's so amazing that we're bringing people together to create something that is what we want to do. Like, you know, realistically, everyone right now has access to a camera of some kind. It might be, you know, a family, or your iPad, or like an Android phone, or like an Apple phone. I'm trying to like not get done by sponsors. But you know, everyone can do that. So, you know, realistically, there's not a lot of excuse, really, I'd say. So we've got some questions coming in. Shan, do you want to flag some up for us, and we'll get some. Oh, so brilliant. So Tommy Bez says, which scene did you find the hardest to shoot or act in, tone-wise and technically? So Nat, I guess for you, what was the hardest one for you to shoot or act in?
Definitely the last one. I think it was just like the pent-up emotion, and it was like like the climax, obviously, of like the entire piece.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it felt. There's been very few times when I felt like, oh, this is like something really special and something really good while shooting it, and this was 100% like the peak of all of that feeling. But it was still very nerve-wracking, but in a good way, because if I wasn't nervous or like freaking out, I think I would be a complete weirdo and there would be something wrong. But yeah, I'd say the last scene for sure.
Yeah, it was a really emotive, challenging scene. Like if we didn't get that right tonally, the entire film collapses essentially. So
quite a lot of focus.
I think we did it. James, how about you?
To juxtapose that, mine was the first scene.
Yeah,
the first scene where we were playing cards.
Yeah,
I just remember being nervous, really nervous.
That was the very first thing we filmed, wasn't it? That scene.
Yeah, and just cameras on. I was like, okay, we're doing this. This is the first time I was giving my Scouse accent a walk, and it was just next to a genuine Scouser as well. So it was like, okay, let's see how this goes. But yeah, that was the hardest. I settled into it after that, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I guess one of the big things to mention about that, actually, if you are watching this Q&A, is you will probably have noticed that Nathaniel and James sound very, very different to their characters in Starlight. Neither of you are Scouse. The person who plays Mikey, Callum Hart, he is an official registered Scouser, so that's all okay. That's
got a badge and everything.
I remember going to him being like, how would you say the word like between? And he'd be like, between? I'm like, oh great, okay, brilliant, we can get that.
Yeah, shout out, thanks for. I remember being sat on the bed before we were like filming the first scene. My first one was fuck off, and I was like, how would you say that? And he, just said it, and I was like, right, okay, cool. Yeah. So my formal apology to everyone.
it was a brilliant accent. Really good.
Thank you.
We just got a message there from New Mills Model Railway. Thank you so much. They say really lovely film. Can tell you guys worked hard. We really did. Giving me some inspiration to get on with your own work. Can't wait for more. Well, thank you so much. That's really, really kind. We can't wait to share more with you very soon, hopefully. So we have got another question here from Lola Torrance. And they ask, you have some very intimate scenes together. How did you get comfortable with each other? Did you meet before the filming? And that's actually a really, really good question, because you didn't have a lot of lead time before meeting each other and then really getting in the thick of it. So, I mean, how was that as an experience for you two?
It was, so I met Gage and then met Nat. And then half an hour later, we were getting to it, because we would do all these scenes require, as they should be done, they require a lot of carefully planned rehearsal. Because if you do it on the day, things are going to go wrong. Things are going to be touched that don't want to be touched, etc., etc. But yeah, so we went straight into it, rehearsing the various scenes. It's weird. Like it's just the natural fact of it. The acting's weird. Particularly when you have to be randomly intimate when if you don't know them, but that's part of the job. But it was it's gay, wonderful, and that's the loveliest guy I've ever met. So it was something that really you couldn't have another better partner to do it with.
This is recorded,
regardless of what it was.
Like we've got that on camera. We can I can put that on I can broadcast, that's going on the website. I'm like, yes, Oscar-winning actor says, "Doom." That's it. Love it.
Yeah, no, it's it is odd because it's in a room full of loads of other people. May look sexy on camera, but you don't feel it at the time.
But
that's
it's very clinical.
Part of the magic.
It's really clinical.
Yeah, it is.
Which is good because it takes away just the more like you said, like having. Gage be the intimacy coordinator as well. To be fair, like in the world of it, two guys meeting, and then 30 seconds later, then getting with each other is pretty spot on for gay guys. So obviously,
it's
but then
enough small talk. Let's get to
it. Yeah. I was like, what was your name again? But having used like the intimacy coordinator, it was like choreographing a dance, except there was like 2 parts that were moving instead of your whole body.
Yeah, I think
choreographing a dance with no pants. Yeah,
the horizontal monster mash.
Oh no, I've not heard that one.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with it being quite clinical, because I guess like when you're watching the film, obviously, you know, we want to be immersed in this narrative and in this story, but when we're on set, there are usually, you know, we have closed sets where things kind of do get quieter in those more intimate scenes, but realistically, there's still a lot of people just waiting around, just kind of going, "Oh, when's lunch? When's lunch? Please." And then like some people being like, you know, "Oh, camera rolling, sound, blah blah blah," and there's like so many different things going off. And Rose, I'd just like to come to you on that question that Lola asked about intimate scenes, because for you, having to shoot them and be behind the camera, and I know you didn't do it on this one, but with Blacklight especially, there was a lot of intimate scenes.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you're filming them, do you feel that, or is it more like, actually no, let's figure out how we can tell a story with this? Because
I kind of out of body experience is too strong. I kind of just like zone in to the camera.
Yeah.
The fact that there's stuff
What?
going, yeah, just doesn't even matter to me. Like I've had shots that are very, very intimate, and I get very excited that it's getting intimate because I'm just excited about the shot, and I'm not even necessarily focusing on what's actually happening.
Yeah.
In my own little world.
Well, and I think that really translates as well, because I guess with like when we're writing it and when we're producing it, often these scenes are never actually about the intimacy about it. It's often about progressing a story. So, for example, the scene, James, which I think you mentioned there, when the Mr. Blobby scene is what I like to call it, basically when the 2 lads are watching porn. It's so heartbreaking every time Kane leans in for that kiss. I'm like, oh no. It's like, it's heart-wrenching, and that's actually like a lot of it isn't about what's going on. It's about the push around it, which is, you know, I think we achieved really, really well with this. And Rose was so excited to see your camera work, your beautiful camera work in Firelight, and also in Tog, which is coming soon.
Ooh.
That had quite a lot of intimate scenes in it too. Bless us. You can tell it's an Oxygen film set. Woo. Jess Redhead says, "Love Starlight so much." Thank you, Jess. Any funny memories from being on set?
No.
Hi, Jess.
No.
No. Funny.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think my funniest moment on set, crikey. Do you know what? It's not often like the moments where we're filming, and I think I've said this in a previous Q&A. It's often like the moments where we've wrapped, and then we're getting like takeaways or food in, and we're just doing stuff. And I remember, I think it might have been on the first night or the second night. I can't actually remember. It kind of time doesn't really exist on set. That Nat, you went to go get some alcohol from like a local shop. It's like a Sunday night.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, come on. We'd finished and we wanted to celebrate. And you walked like 20 miles. It wasn't 20 miles, but like you walked so far to get. And then you got there and it was shut, and you were fuming.
Oh no, they were open. They just didn't sell alcohol.
That's it. Yeah.
I was like, what? Pardon?
Yes.
I was like, I'll just take the gasoline. That's like, that will get me wasted.
Yeah. Do you have any hand gel? Anything? I'll have it.
Very topical.
It's true. That wasn't in not in stock back then. It wasn't. Yeah. James, how about for you? What was any funny moments from set for you?
I really liked. I actually enjoyed when the football thing. I just found funny. We were having a bit of a nightmare. We were allowed to shoot there, but then we had a bit of a bit of a character come over and question our integrity and all that sort of stuff, and all that kicking off. And also, it was freezing cold. And I'm blessed him. What was the little actor called?
Harvey and Reese.
Harvey. I found Harvey's oversized. I think it was an Arsenal team. Very funny. Bless him. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed loads of it, to be honest. It was, apart from the scene at the end and intimate scenes, it was a good laugh, I think.
Yeah. And now, how about you? Was there anything for you that was like tickled your funny bone?
I think filming the opening scene for sure, because I was like deadly scared. And then I think after about, I mean, it felt like hours, but in like a good way. And then I was like, you know what? I'm literally just standing here in Calvin Klein pants, and we're just like messing around after. I like filming and doing well, but then just sort of felt a bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
like, taking the piss a little bit, which was like alleviated all of my anxieties and stress about filming something. When you can just laugh and you realize that people are laughing with you and not at you.
Yeah,
not that anyone would do that, but
we're all a community. We're all a family on set, aren't we?
Yeah. The crew is so close.
Yeah,
I think we just make it fun.
Yeah.
Still scene, it's still fun.
It's so lovely. It's so lovely. Now, I do have a question here, which is coming from Lola. Can you tell us anything about the sequel episode of season 2? Now, Rose, you've had a little sneaky little peek at our season 2 episode. What's your, as someone like an outsider, what are you kind of thinking? What are you most excited? Don't spoil anything.
There's some fun locations that I'm excited to film in.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. And just like you said, to kind of develop the characters a bit more.
Yeah.
And obviously for me to just play around with the camera and do some fun stuff. I feel like this story in particular, you can play around a little bit more than some of the others.
Yeah. Nat, how about you? What can you tell us? Any little juicy tidbits, any gossip coming our way?
Things happen.
Things
will be happening.
There will be scenes.
Yeah, there's a fire and there's a light, and yeah. No, I don't really. I'm so bad with going on tangents and treading on eggshells.
You're like Tom Holland. You're the Tom Holland of Oxygen Films. We're like, don't say it.
Yeah. I also have a frog in my mouth.
James, how about you?
Yeah, so season 2, Firelight, bigger, sexier, more longing.
Yes.
You just can't wait for this, because that we've introduced them, like Gage said before, in Starlight, and it's a very much needed sequel. It's not just bolted on because let's do it.
Yeah,
it
feels right.
It's essential for this story. Yeah, it needs to continue.
Yeah.
It needs to continue breathing.
I want to know what happens with Kane and Jacob. Like, I want to know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I want to read out a little bit of a sneaky little preview of it. This is the synopsis. So basically, do you know when you go on Amazon Prime and you see the little the little blurb? It says, a chance encounter on a train pulls Kane and Jacob back into the suffocating exploration of their enigmatic feelings. But things have changed. England has hosted the Euro 96. Diana is dead. And Kane has a boyfriend. Ooh, things are changing. Things are drastic. We do have a question here that hasn't come through on this chat, so apologies. It says, do you all have a love for the 90s now? And how do you feel that people's judgments of people have changed since then? Do you still feel there is a lad culture nowadays? Very, very good question.
That was a really good question.
That's his thought.
I think personally, I mean, because realistically, like what I love about Starlight is that none of us were alive at the time it was started, which is crazy to think of. And so we had to do so much research, like into the tiniest little things, like what would a car horn sound like in that period, and like, you know, how can we make sure it's accurate? Well, we had to date check every single image you ever see. We had to date check all the albums that were and video games that were around.
Did Liv do design?
Liv and Liv Johnson, Harrison Rieblin, and myself, and Alex Bamford did quite a lot of like the date checking for us, which was
Great job. It looks amazing.
it's really strong. And I think in terms of my understanding of that period, definitely it's grown. Like we had to research, and same with you two, Nat and James, you had to research a lot about the AIDS epidemic and like you know, the kind of the societal beliefs at the time and pressures. And I think we did learn a lot, and it's nice as queer, you know, as me as a queer person, it's really nice to be able to kind of honor a lot of our like, you know, the people who come before us who've had to make such valiant strides in our community, because it is a different world now. It is a lot easier and a lot more open, but there's still a lot of challenges, as the question mentioned about lad culture nowadays. There's still a lot of homophobia around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, as much as things have changed, I still think this episode is really relevant still right now, because I think a lot of people struggle.
I think something that we might have spoken about beforehand, like in private or just like on another like chat, was how it felt like a really nice letter to like, or like homage to the people that did come before her, especially like you said, as a queer person, and like similarly as a queer person as well. And like you said, not being there at the time, we do kind of like, I don't know about you, but I do feel like a sense of privilege to sort of be able to like detach myself from that. And also because we do like, it's never been more of like a best time to be someone queer. Like, although there's like terrible things going on, and just because they're not happening in the UK and they're happening in places like Poland, like in Poland right now, it's really terrible. Chechnya as well. And I think it's important for us, like in the UK, just to not forget where we came from and what like life was like, and how difficult it was, and it still is. And like the fight's not over, especially for like queer people of color, for like black men, trans women of color as well. I think although this is sort of like a love letter or like a paying homage to a small experience, I think it's a universal feeling that a lot of people have felt before.
Yeah. Brilliantly said. Yeah. Galactic Goldfish Pictures, thank you ever so much for commenting. You do some brilliant films as well. They say, Rose, the cinematography in A Series of Light as a whole has been incredible.
How sweet.
How would you describe your overall voice as a cinematographer?
I like to be very intimate. I love handheld. I don't know if you've noticed. Pretty much every shot I do is handheld unless I can't. Because I feel like it makes the camera like another character within it. I think it makes the audience feel a lot more involved within the story when you are in the thick of it. I like to move around. I like to do long shots going between the characters. And I think that's my kind of style of being a little bit messy with it. But
but it feels like so personal, and especially when we're doing films about topics like sexuality, about identity, it's so important to feel like, as an audience member, we're sat right next to Jacob, we're sat right next to Ken, and going through this, and we're going through it with them together. It's lovely. Yeah. So nice. Yeah. Cool. So we've got quite a lot of questions coming in. So sorry, we are trying to kind of keep track of them. Please do feel free to keep asking. We're going to be on for a little 10 or 15 more minutes, so feel free to drop them in. Let's look at this one here. So, James, can you let us know? Have a moment to think. Have a moment to process. There's a lot to choose from. Renegade Prof asks, who was your favorite band or artist from the 90s? Thank you, Alex. Very, very good question. I'm not too sure what mine would be. Do you know what I love?
Hard question.
It is. It's like, because it's such a massive error.
Like, where do you go? I don't want to show how uncool I am.
Yeah, I think, do you know what I love about Starlight is, and I hope everyone watching this might agree, the music in the film itself, and especially the opening track of "Oh Superman" by Laurie Anderson. Oh, it just sets the tone perfectly, and it's a very strange song. It's like 8 minutes long, and there's a lot of interesting moments. But it's just, I think for me, that's just like, oh yeah.
Have you seen the music video to that?
Yes, it's
so weird. Yeah,
I love
it though.
I love it. And so yeah, I don't think I'd be able to narrow it down to like a band or an artist, but
I would say,
yeah,
I think of the 90s, like obviously most artists, unless they're like a one-hit wonder, probably either spanned before or the mid 90s and then continue onwards. I think for mine would probably be like immediately just think of like Bjork.
Yeah.
Like I just the pure 90s, like It's Oh So Quiet, and then sort of that, obviously not trip hop, but that sort of similar genre of like Portishead, Massive Attack, like all that sort of weird liquid trip hop. I think it's like I fuck with very much.
James, what about you? What are you feeling?
What am I feeling? Right, the thing. I'm gonna go full on uncool here. Growing up, I was all into the rock sort of stuff. So for the 90s, for me, I don't even know if he is 90s, but I want to go with Bryan Adams. Is he 90s?
James,
is
thanks
he
for
90s?
Have you?
I'm going with it. Oh, wait, I've been Googling 90s artists right now, rapidly, try and jog my mind.
Oh, well, Sean's
you know what? I go Goo Goo Dolls, Iris. That is an absolute.
That's a banger
tune.
Yeah.
Nothing on Bryan Adams though, but yeah, I have to go with that. I'm very uncool, I'm afraid.
I'm cancelling that. That's out of my head. Fair enough. Each their own. I will give a little tease, a little spoiler about Firelight. One of the songs that appears in Firelight is the Macarena, so enjoy that one. Yes. Now, Sean in our broadcasting, our tech, who's been doing a fantastic job of making sure this goes to plans. Thanks to Sean. She says Supergrass is her favorite. So yeah, brilliant.
What do they?
What kind of music is Supergrass?
I have no idea. Folks,
you said it with such confidence.
I think she's probably just
Supergrass. Yeah.
No, well, Sean's a massive fan of a lot of like Winmore-esque, like Leeds-based bands, like the Bridewell Taxes, which is brilliant. Oh, Sean says it's rock. It's rock apparently. Okay. That's it. That's all you need to know. It's rock.
They're rock and roll. They're rock.
But moving on from Sean's music taste, which is questionable at the very most, we are so grateful for your three's kind of skills and talent in this. Everyone obviously operated completely voluntarily, and for you, what is that like? I mean, obviously we're not in a position where we can, pay people, but do you feel like, it's kind of, it's starting to get to a point where now with acting going in the future, with coronavirus and everything, what are you looking forward to doing? Like, is there anything that we challenge you, and is there anything that you can challenge yourself with going forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Challenge myself. It's just a constant thing. You always want to be jumping higher, running faster, that sort of thing. You always want to be moving forwards. Just the challenge in itself, and the fact that it is a voluntary thing, and there's an element of trust, and there's a leap of faith with it, and you just got to see where it goes. And I think that's part of what makes it exciting as well, because you've got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
You've got to give it a shot, and we're all, yeah. we're all doing that. We're all trying to aim for something that's really big, something that's bigger than our whole selves individually, but as a collective, we can make something more monumental.
Yeah.
And there are important stories to tell as well. I think, you know, you don't feel like you're wasting your time doing a stupid short film for free. Like, you feel like you're making something that's important, and then it's like queer stories most of the time that you're not really going to see on mainstream TV.
Yeah. So. And Rose, I guess, you know, because as an organization, we're constantly like saying, like, come on, let's what can we do better? What can we do more? How can we break boundaries? How can we create something that's going to be long lasting? For you as a cinematographer, what are you excited by? Like, what are you wanting to do next? It's kind of like, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to do something new.
Yeah, just I don't know, just bigger, better, more. Like, I just want to really experiment with my own style. I mean, obviously, I'm just starting out myself, and I'd like, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity, but to just play around and kind of try new things. If it doesn't work out, we'll try again. It's really,
I second that.
Yeah, it's a big step for my career to just be able. I mean, you give me complete freedom most of the time, which is amazing. So.
Yeah. And now you're actually doing something in a series of Light season 2, which is very different in that you're supporting with writing Spotlight, which is I've said the name of it. Never mind. Spotlight is the follow-on from Greenlight. You're working on Spotlight, which is helping writing that. How has that been for you?
Very, very different, like you said. It's something. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything about what's going on, what it's about, but it's really exciting. The thing I like the most, I think, about working with you and with everyone at Oxygen is like similar to what Rose said. It's just sort of like this sense of security, and like there's opportunities no matter what. It's like, we'll do this if you want this, and it feels like a genuine, like, just from the jump there was always like a sense of generosity and like pure, like just being kind and giving us the opportunities to mess up, but do what we want and feel free to navigate in a space that maybe is quite new to us as well. Like, you giving like me the opportunity to help with writing the sequel, I really, really appreciate. But it's also just exciting. Like, it's such an interesting story and like interesting take. How many times can I say like in a sentence? But it's taking a really interesting turn. So I'm forever grateful.
Well, yeah, I mean, and James, I guess for you as well, because you're supporting with writing the sequel to Starlight, Firelight, along with Nat and our story editor Luke, who has unfortunately, if you were expecting him to be here and were surprised that he's not, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, can't be. So sorry about that. But you two, obviously working on the story for the next one. What's that like? Is it kind of like a little bit of a different experience, like being able to write alongside me and Luke, or Luke and I? Sorry, grammar.
Yeah, it's I just find it really encouraging. It's a proof of your trust in us, and then hopefully if we do a good job helping you out, then that can be reciprocated. I really enjoy it. There's more things to do, because a lot of the times as an actor, particularly since leaving drama school, you are just an actor, and most times you get creative is in an audition room, because most people don't get the auditions. They go for more and more and more auditions, but this is an actual chance to be part of the process from its earliest stages, which is really nice. Just allows it's really nice. That's a rubbish way to sum it up.
James, you're such like an immense talent in terms of like, as not only as an actor but as a writer as well, and creating these characters. And that goes the same for you, because you both have really inhabited such monumental and really challenging characters, which is really, really exciting. So well done. I'm sure a lot of our audience will agree with us there on that. So just before we go into we're going to do a little series roundup of season 2, a very exclusive. So if you stayed this long, thank you very much. Well done. We're going to do a little big reveal of season 2. But Shan, I was hoping if you wouldn't mind helping me with the banners, just doing the social medias as I do some other stuff. Nat, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nate Farah. That's at Nate Farah. Ding. Now available on iTunes.
Thank you very much. And James, how about you?
Let me try and remember. You can find me also on Twitter and Instagram. I think on Twitter it's just James Koutsavlis, and on Instagram it's James_Koutsavlis. I may be wrong though, but there's only one James Koutsavlis, so you should be able to find me.
They're both at James Koutsavlis. You've done brilliantly with them.
Oh, I've cleaned it up. Yes,
cleaned it up.
At James Koutsavlis. There we go. Who needs an underscore?
No one.
Not
no
me.
One. Rose, how about you?
Well, unless you're in a film, maybe then. But apart from that,
yeah. Rose, how about you?
It's always nice, isn't it?
I am on Instagram at Rose Mclaughlin.
Yay! That's not
Rose.
like collapsing on the keyboard. That is, it's double R and double R.
Rose Mclaughlin.
It's like, I'm not drunk, don't worry. And as for me, you can find me at Gage Oxley on Instagram and Twitter. And as well as Oxygen Films, you can subscribe here for more updates and follow at Oxygen Film on Twitter and Instagram. Now, we are going to come on to a little cheeky thing because I done goofed up and slipped up and said, Spotlight, I'm sorry. Spotlight, first and foremost, is going to be the name of our first episode in season 2. Now, if you didn't know about season 2, basically, it's a complete sequel in season format. So, for example, see episode 3 in season 2 is the following from episode 3 in season 1, stuff like that. So, Spotlight is going to be the sequel to Greenlight, and that is about child star Sam Cooke. He's had a real tumultuous 2 months, cancelled and cast aside in the public eye, and desperate to regain his place in the spotlight, he ventures into celebrity reality television show Surveillance State. Very exciting. Imagine it like Big Brother of fake world and our world. And that's the one that Nat's helping with. Next up, we've got Streetlight. And that is that's co-written by the brilliant Jessica Redhead, sorry. And that reads, a man dead in a hotel room leaves questions unanswered, but homicide detective Jackie Lambert is hot on the heels of 17-year-old Escort Callum, who finds a connection with a new client. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Then after that, Low Light, which is the sequel to White Light. After falling victim to an explicit fake video, the performative Adonis Mitch plunges into the dark web in pursuit of his perpetrator to execute bloody revenge. Firelight is the sequel to Starlight we've already spoken about, but then next week's episode, which is Blacklight, the sequel to that is called Floodlight, and that says, after turning up to Alexi's book signing, Adam is on the run, but he quickly falls for another, Elizabeth. Charming, cool, and completely unaware to Adam's advancing, disturbed fantasies, which are starting to become a reality. Dodgy. Oh, hello, Casper.
He was licking my foot, so.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for bringing Casper in. Folks, have you, Nat, James, and Rose? I know you finally have some internet in your place, but you two, have you managed to watch any of the other episodes of A Series of Light?
Of course.
Oh.
Yes, I've watched all of them.
What one are you most excited to see being sequelized other than Starlight?
Spotlight.
I really enjoyed. Yeah, Rose. I didn't want to butt in, but it was a compliment. I really enjoyed Red Light. I thought you did a fantastic job on that. So yeah, I'm very excited for the sequel.
Thank you.
And the Red Light sequel happens only 2 seconds after the end of Red Light. So we pick up right where we left off. So very interesting. Rose, which one are you most looking forward to sequelizing?
Firelight.
This one's going to be really fun.
You're allowed to say Firelight because you weren't involved in the first one.
Yeah, it's fun. All of them, but they're all such lovely stories that I'm excited to dig my teeth in and get like all the scripts and do all the shot lists and just
Yeah.
Very
Brilliant.
excited.
Well, folks, thanks so much for joining us. If you've stayed this far, well done. Thank you ever so much. Please do subscribe here for more updates. Next week, we are live again for the final time this season until the last episode, episode 6 is released. But we are doing an episode called Blacklight. Joined with me will be the fabulous Charlie Harris, who plays the disturbed Adam. And finally, at long last, we will finally meet Sian Carey, who is always in the broadcast. She's going to be part of the broadcast too, so we're very excited for that. So it's going to be at the latest time of 9 p.m. because it's a naughty film, and we're kind of doing like a watershed thing. So
very naughty.
Very naughty. Join us at 9 p.m. for the live premiere of Blacklight, and 9:25-ish for the post-show Q&A with Charlie Harris, myself, and Sian Carey. If you are watching this on catch up, please feel free to drop comments in the box below because we will still answer them. Maybe not like obviously live, but I will send them on if you want anything answered.
I will still be here.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, I'll just be refreshing for like 10 years. Please do put something. Guys, thanks so much for supporting independent film. At this time, it's more important than ever that we rally behind independent artists, we rally behind charities, we rally behind everyone who's an artist in the theatre. And please, please help us beat this fucking government because they're fucking shit. Anyway, that's my yeah, I'm allowed to say it. So I got it. It's past 9 o'clock now. That was my watershed moment. Nat, James, Rose, thank you so much for joining us on this brilliant Q&A. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you all and to see you all. Please stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you on season 2.
See you there. See you at the Firelight.
Thank you, and thanks a massive well done as well to Sian Carey on broadcast.
Thanks, Sian.
Thanks, Sian.
Right. See